We turn now to the battle over gun rights and restrictions. It's going to be taking center stage in Indianapolis this weekend. Some 70,000 people are gathering in the city right now for the National Rifle Association's annual meeting. Stand and fight is this year's theme. The headline from one local paper put it this way: money, guns, and politics. The NRA convention comes to town. That's the Indy Star there. Today's speakers include some possible GOP presidential candidates, among them Senator Marco Rubio, former Senator Rick Santorum, and Governor Bobby Jindal. The event taking place just 2 days after Georgia's governor signed the Safe Carry Protection Act. Among other things, it expands where licensed gun owners can carry guns, including bars, churches, and schools. I want to bring in the chairman of Stop Handgun Violence, John Rosenthal, also executive director of Gun Owners of America, Larry Pratt. Larry, let me start with you. I know you're headed to Indianapolis. Given that victory for Second Amendment advocates in Georgia this week, is that going to be a big topic at the NRA meeting, a sort of model for other states to potentially follow?
Well, a number of states have already had laws similar to that on the books, and this is a welcome addition to what's already been accomplished.
John, this is the second NRA meeting since Newtown. We know the challenges. We also know that Larry's side is celebrating more victories than your side these days. What's the best way to fight a force like the NRA that combines money and politics at such a powerful level?
Well, first of all, the majority of Americans that support a background check and reasonable restrictions on gun sales,
hey, John,
can
I stop you there? Because we've heard that from a number of folks, and the poll after poll bears that out. If that's true, then why haven't we seen more? If a majority of folks believe that, then why hasn't that majority taken to the streets with pitchforks in hand?
Largely because special interest politics and their gun industry blood money have seriously undermined our democracy to the point where Republicans are owned and Democrats are intimidated into submission. Since Newtown alone, over 43,000 Americans have died from guns, and Congress hasn't even required a criminal background check for all gun sales.
Larry, protesters are expected in Indianapolis for this meeting, including a group of mothers who are aligned with former New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg. Bloomberg, of course, as you know, recently announcing that he's going to be spending some $50 million of his own money on a new campaign called Every Town for Gun Safety. It, among other things, is going to back candidates who support gun reform measures with a goal of turning out more than 1 million gun reform supporters at the polls. The campaign, as we also understand it, is going to be specifically targeting moms. In the story that broke news of the campaign, you are quoted as saying he has the money to waste, so I guess he's free to do so. Why are you so confident?
Well, he doesn't have the folks. Mr. Rosenthal's lament is really based on the fact that they don't have the grassroots. Public opinion, when it goes to vote, is not with them. In fact, people believe in self-defense. They understand that the police are minutes away when they need something now in seconds. And so the message that we ought to be disarmed, the message that it ought to be harder to get a gun, that just doesn't fly in the real world.
Larry, is that the message? And John, is that the message, rather? I mean, is the message that people should be disarmed and we should make it very difficult? I mean, what is the message?
Well, first of all, I'm a gun owner and a strong supporter of gun rights, but I do not believe the founders ever intended for criminals, the mentally ill, and even international terrorists to come to the U.S. and buy guns in 33 states and at thousands of gun shows without an ID or a background check. Thanks to the gun lobby, since 1980, 1.4 million Americans have died from guns, and there's no background check requirement. And that is more Americans died from guns than all U.S. servicemen and women killed in all foreign wars combined. And we're losing a classroom like Sandy Hook every 3 days. And the gun lobby just keeps buying off Congress, and Congress keeps allowing Americans to die at the rate of 83 every day. Shame on Congress,
George Washington,
and shame on the gun lobby for killing so many innocent Americans.
At Valley Forge, because he knew that we needed background checks. That's what the War for Independence was all about. You're absolutely off. That is not what the founders had in mind.
There were no AR-15s at Valley Forge, Larry.
The fact of the matter is the Brits didn't like the fact that we had any guns. They saw our muskets and our early rifles as assault weapons, and they were trying to ban the importation of those and the ball and powder for them. They didn't want us to be able to shoot back at them. That's what the Second Amendment's all about, is to control the government. And we used it before the Second Amendment was on the books to control the government. King George knew all about it.
We're talking about balls and powder. And we know that all of the major gun manufacturers are going to be in Indianapolis.
So technology has changed, so therefore the First Amendment doesn't apply to the
I think you mean the Second Amendment.
Medium that we're using right now?
I think you mean the Second Amendment.
No, I meant the First Amendment. If you're saying that the Second Amendment only applies to the technology of the 18th century, then it doesn't apply to the technology we're using right now. It's not protecting the First Amendment.
What I am saying, Larry, and I think the courts have agreed, whether it comes to speech or other of the other amendments as well. When technology changes, the laws that somehow restrict that technology should also change.
That's a happy argument that you might want to make, but the fact of the matter is we are able to use the technology of the day to protect ourselves from criminals and from the government.
John, I want to run through the... Go ahead, John.
Okay, so the Supreme Court recently ruled that you can't ban guns, but you can put reasonable restrictions on how they were sold. And Scalia even wrote that that didn't include assault weapons. They were not in the common use of the time. And secondly, Congress has given absolute immunity to the gun industry. So these rich white guys on Wall Street own the industry, they intimidate Congress, and it results in a gun violence epidemic that is entirely preventable if we simply get American people to stand up and say no to this preventable gun violence and speak out and get our democracy back from the special interests that own Congress.
John Rosenthal, Larry Pratt, thank you so much. Do appreciate both of you spending so much time with us this Friday.